Hello, my friends. Katie Day with the Moving to Texas team here with another episode of the Real Advice podcast. I am pumped for this week's guest and to welcome him to the podcast. He is an experienced real estate professional in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. He's known as the DMV. He's well known for his entrepreneurial spirit and dedication to the industry. In addition to being a realtor and a team leader, he's a father and also gives back in his local community with community events and community efforts across many different organizations. Please join me in welcoming Ryan Zook. What's going on, man?
What's up, Katie? Thanks for having me.
Hey, I appreciate you making the time. I'm excited to dig in because I feel like I've known you for a while, and
Yeah,
I know that you have a ton of awesome knowledge and things like that to share. So,
yeah,
for people that may not know you, walk me through
yeah,
how you got into real estate.
yeah. I've been doing it for 20 years. First handful of years as a solo agent, then started a small team, and then for the last 13 years or so, have run a team called DWELLUS, um, like Dwell US or Dwell Us, here in the DMV, and we're about $100 million team now. And so we've got about eight to 10 full time agents, and then another dozen or so part time agents or new agents. Yeah, that's my real estate journey. It's been in this game for a long time.
I always love like for some people, like the longer they've been in, the bio gets shorter and shorter, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So I appreciate you summarizing kind of your career thus far. What was the catalyst that kind of brought you into real estate?
So I had a normal 9 to 5 riding the metro down on M Street in DC,
Okay.
and I hated the 9 to 5. I hated
Yeah.
the structure, the everyday the same, and so hopped into real estate. And interestingly enough, didn't sell a house for my first 6 months. And
The
so
story that many have.
yes, yeah. So that was the case for me. I was a 22-year-old kid trying to figure out how to make this work, and then the next 6 months, I think I sold 8 houses, and then was kind of off to the races. And the following year was 20, and as a solo agent, I think I got as high as 70 houses by myself.
That's epic.
And so I was out there grinding. I mean, 8 different buyers on a Saturday and 5 offers on a Saturday night. That type of
Yeah.
work. So.
So walk me through like first 6 months did nothing. What was the change in the first 6 months to the second 6 months? Or was it just that you had been doing these things and you finally started to see, that tipping point for them to start paying off?
Yeah, so honestly, when I teach, I generally tell people you have to come up with a unique value proposition so that you can go be chosen as the agent versus the other agents in your market. And so, as a 22-year-old kid, when the average age of a realtor was 50 something,
Yeah.
I went out and got every single designation. Thought it was so cool because I had all the little letters after my name.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but I but I went and got 5 designations, and so then when I went into an appointment, I said, "Yeah, the average agent may sell a few houses or been in the industry for a while, but I'm the most educated agent you possibly could ever
Yeah.
meet because I've got my ABR, my GRI, my ePro, all of the designations." So that was my initial
Yeah.
unique value proposition, and then I started to get into the tech space a little bit. I learned how to make floor plans, which that was brand new to the industry. So I learned how to floor plan every single house that I listed. And nowadays, our unique value proposition is, which a lot of agents can kind of do. We've got an in-house marketing department that does 2 dimensional and 3 dimensional floor plans, Matterport,
Yeah. Yeah.
drone,
Yeah.
videos, all that stuff that people can do, but we can turn it around in 4 or 5 hours because our staff is all in house.
Yeah.
And so it really is creating a unique value proposition to be able to compete with other agents in the business. So,
It's funny, that you say that about the designations because like, I did the same thing. It was like, well, if I'm not selling any houses today, like, I might as well just learn more about, like, kind of what's happening and all the things. And I
yep,
totally had a page in our listing, consult where it's like, "Here are all of my designations, and this is why they're important to you," kind of thing. Um,
yep.
but where I'm going with all of this is what I find to be funny with that, and I don't know if you felt the same way, but, like, I did all of these courses, but, like, I didn't fully understand because I hadn't done any transactions yet, right? So I'm like getting all this
Yep.
information, but I hadn't actually done it in practice. So then when I started selling houses, it was like, oh, like everything kind of clicked a little bit more for me. I don't know if you had
Yeah.
that same.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it gave you the confidence to be able to ask for the buyer agreement.
Mhm, mhm.
And it gave you the confidence to be able to, like when I got my certified new home sales professional designation, it gave me the confidence to say, hey, I'm a little more educated than the average
Yeah,
agent when it comes to new home sales. But at the end of the day, you're kind of winging it
yeah.
until you actually learn the business. And so the fake it till you make it concept.
Well, and so it sounds like, you had a normal start, but like, slow start. And then it just, J curve of
Yeah.
success, kind of started crushing it from there. So at what point, you went to the 20 and then the 50, then the 80, significant increase in the amount of homes you sell. When did you start the team? What did that look like?
Yeah, so a lot of it is around leverage.
Hmm.
When you're pumping, I mean, 30, 40, 50 deals a year, you need leverage. And I always say start with transaction support, administrative support, for people to do the paperwork. If you're really good at if I always say if you're a really good agent, generally you're terrible at the administrative pieces
For sure.
and you're terrible at the paperwork. And at the end of the day, that is a good bang for your buck leverage.
Yeah.
um, and then from there it really just, when you've got 8 different buyers on a weekend, it's hard to be able to show 8 different buyers on a weekend, and so
Yeah.
you need to leverage with a showing agent. And so I always say that's the next best hire. Some people disagree, but I always say a showing agent is the next best hire, somebody that can go around and meet with those buyers and show the homes and then report back to you, and then you do the negotiations. And then if they're great showing agents, they can turn into buyers agents. And if they're great at that, and on our team, we don't have just buyers agents and listing
Okay.
agents. Everybody can do both. And
Okay.
so it really is a progression of skill sets down to the scripting and the conversations and the negotiations and all of that stuff. Um, and then what I'll say is family. If you want to have a solid work life balance, you have to learn the power of leverage.
Yeah.
If you're going to run a big business and be able to have a strong family life. I mean, my kids play travel baseball, so
Yeah.
I don't have the time to show properties if I'm away for a weekend at a baseball tournament. So if you want to have both, you have to understand the power of leverage, and a lot of the times that's starting a team.
So, you named off a couple things, right? Like figuring out paperwork, having someone help to show, potentially they then become a buyer's agent, right? And there's some progression there. What was your first hire? Like, did you do it that way and you're speaking from, hey, this is what I did and it worked
Yeah.
out really well? Or are you speaking from, this is what I didn't do and this is what I should have done?
So my progression was actually pretty good. I mean, I would have set up a little bit of the splits differently throughout time, but I started with somebody who did TC work, later became kind of administrative, and then eventually became my operations manager.
Okay.
Um, and it helped. This was my brother-in-law at the time. Well, he's still my brother-in-law, but at the time for this progression,
Yeah.
and I still
Yeah. Yeah.
love
Yeah.
him. But he's moved on to working for bigger companies,
Yeah.
which is great. And so I have some other people that are helping for operations. Um, to now my operations manager essentially runs DWELLUS. So that's really great. But yeah, I would say it really is. When I tell people leverage, I always say make a list of the things that you're good at and the things that you're not good at. Make a list of the things you like to do. Make a list of the things you don't like to do, um, and make a list of the things that you should be doing from a dollar per hour average
Yeah.
versus the things that you shouldn't be doing, and then go make your job description. And that's different for everybody. I mean, some people like social media and are really good at it, and in which case, continue to manage your social media account.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, then leverage it. And so just kind of pick those 3 buckets, and then create your job description around it.
For me, the things that I like are normally not the highest dollar productive activities,
I
so it's like,
know.
got to figure out, how this works out. But I hear you
Yeah.
there, and that's great advice for trying to figure out, like, okay, who do I need to hire? What can I get off my
Yep.
plate? And how can I free up more time to focus on those things that are actually making money?
Yeah, and in some cases, this can be wrapped into one person. In some cases, wrapped into multiple people.
Yeah.
Um, I don't have any virtual assistants, but in some cases, this is you find two or three virtual assistants. One that's great at paperwork, one that's great at marketing, one that's great at, and so, and in some cases, it's the same person. For
Yeah.
us, I have somebody who's kind of overseeing just kind of the pot of all of this stuff that I've leveraged. So.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think a mistake that many people make is instead of thinking about, hey, should this be a multi-person thing, they just hire the one person, and not everyone
Yeah.
can be that one person to oversee slash do all of the things, right? So
Yeah.
being clear in where people's strengths are, I think is super important. So you mentioned earlier that you
Yeah.
have both full-time and part-time agents.
Yep.
I know some teams are totally for that, sometimes teams shy away from that. So could you talk a little bit more kind of about your mindset behind that?
Yeah. I'm gonna just one more thing about the operational piece. Um, the best hire is somebody that's a self starter, somebody that doesn't need a lot of micromanaging, somebody that just takes the ball and run with it. And so I'm thankful that my operations person just basically says, I'm gonna go do it. And like I don't have to micromanage at all.
Yeah.
And
How do
that's a
you
key.
It's totally
Sorry,
a
go ahead.
key. It's a key something. Finish your
Yeah.
finish your thoughts.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, finding somebody who can do the role is one thing, but finding somebody who can do the role and just own it without you having to oversee it, then you know you've got the right person.
That's
So
huge.
that's hard to find. It's hard to find.
Well, and so I'm gonna dig
Um,
into that one a little bit deeper, right? So, like, what are some things that you do either in the interview process or, once they're working with you, like, because everyone says that they're a go-getter, everyone says that they love taking initiative, but then, like, when you actually,
yeah,
put it to the test, it's not always true. What have you
yeah.
found that is something that, has been a thing that you've been able to uncover that a little bit more?
Yeah, so for me, it was hiring within. So agents that have a skill set that want to grow into a different role. And
Okay.
so instead of just saying, hey, here's the criteria, go find that person, for me, it was hiring within. And so I have somebody that's an agent on our team that helps also train all the new agents.
Okay.
I have an agent on my team who grew into the operational piece. Um, Interestingly enough, I have people that are transaction coordinators that are now playing in the space of sales too. So it really is allowing the agents who are part of your world, if they're good enough, then they earn the right to grow with you.
Yeah.
And so, so a lot of it is in that piece. Kind of going back to the whole full time versus part time agents, the cost to be on our team, if they're part time and not selling a whole lot, is really low for us. The
Okay.
cost of time, the cost of financials. So there's not really a loss. And in some cases, it's situational. In some cases, it's, I mean, there's a lot of people nowadays that are kind of teetering the whole, hey, I need to have enough money to pay my bills, but I really want to be in real estate. That space until they make it, they can be on our team. And so, so that's a really challenging and interesting thing for a lot of the people who are licensed nowadays across the country that are trying to figure out how to make it in real estate. That's what they want to do, but it's hard to break into this industry, and so they got to find their they just got to find their way through it. So
Yeah. I hear you there. Um, okay, so shifting gears a little bit into the like content space and things like that. I know that you put out a lot of content. And so
mhm.
for people that don't know your setup, like if they just saw how much content you're putting out, I think they would be kind of overwhelmed, right? So
Yeah.
how long have you been putting out content? How has that changed over the years? What does that look like for you?
So here's my feeling about content. I am okay at it. I'm better than the average agent, but in comparison to people like yourself who are great on Instagram, who are running podcasts, who are repurposing their content, I'm not very good at that. I've got friends that run YouTube channels and cut up the YouTube video into Instagram shorts and all that stuff. That's kind of my goal
Yeah.
for 2024, is to be able to play on um, multiple social media channels, repurpose content, batch shoot, stuff like that. What I use Instagram for, which is my favorite platform, is really for promoting my personal brand. And personal brand includes personal and the business side of things. And so, I think my Instagram reel was going to the Ravens game with my youngest. And
Hmm.
then I
Hmm.
did an unboxing video like you know how to do. And then I posted a video just about, some awesome houses and stuff like that. And so it really is around a personal brand. Where I think that I am doing well in comparison to a lot of agents is I get to use a lot of my creative brain with my videographer,
Yeah.
and go try and create stuff that's interesting. And in the content space, it's hard to create stuff that everybody else is not already doing. And so that's a challenge for our industry for sure.
Well, I mean, and I think the other thing that I would kind of challenge you on with that statement, because I hear it a lot, right? Of the everyone else is doing this or it's so overplayed or whatever. And like I think that we get into this like realtor vacuum, right? Of
Yeah, yeah,
I see your content and then I see Susie's and Bobby's and Joey's and Michelle's, right? And it's like everyone's doing something similar-ish. But like realistically, the average consumer in Northern Virginia probably doesn't follow those five realtors or four realtors, and you and me, right? And
right,
so
right,
I think that like the other thing is like you put your unique spin and story and personal experiences into your content. So I feel like the needing to get out of your own head, right? And
yeah,
get more stuff going. Because I think that I would say for me in shooting with a videographer and in shooting more content and putting out more content, it's like my stuff's only gotten better, right? And that's what I feel like
yeah.
with you having a videographer, and traveling with him and doing stuff like that. Like you're only like just continuing to raise the bar for yourself and those around you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm blessed to have found, and this is through a couple iterations of videographers,
Yeah,
but I'm blessed to have found somebody that is now one of my closest friends. As you know, we traveled to Iceland together,
yeah,
and on family vacation. And
yeah.
now it's so much so that we're going to San Diego with our family and my sister and brother-in-law, and same brother-in-law.
Same brother-in-law.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, my mom, we're heading out to San Diego this summer, and my kids are like, "Can Shindy come with us?" I'm like, "Guys, he's not going to come on every single family vacation we have." Um, but I'm blessed to have a personal relationship with him, and it just makes creating content that much more fun. Doesn't feel like work. And
yeah.
so,
And the level of rapport that you guys have like is helpful, right? Because then if you're shooting something, he's like, hey, you should say it this way or do this, or there's just
yeah,
a lot more rapport than if you just hired someone randomly every few months.
right, right. Yeah, so that's been fun, is just trying to go be creative and push some fun and interesting stuff. And you're right. I mean, a lot of my social media are other agents that are either liking it or not liking it, and I see their content too. But at the end of the day, we're creating content. If you're talking about getting new buyers and sellers, you're creating content for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, for sure.
so taking the comparison out is important. If you're creating content for agents in a different space than getting unique, that's also fun too. So
Okay, so another question for you. As far as we're seeing a lot of agents get into the industry still, right? It's not a new thing, right? The amount of people that are getting their
yeah,
real estate license. So, if I were a brand new agent, just got my license, hadn't yet hung it at a brokerage, like what advice would you give to me embarking on a career?
it's funny because I did have a brand new agent who's not on my team, who's not at our brokerage, who saw a piece of content that I pushed out called 30 cups of coffee in 30 days. And he came to me and he's like, "Hey, I took that advice and I'm working on it." And so the video, 35-second video that said, "Hey, um, my advice for a brand new agent is to go have cups of coffee with your friends." your
Yeah.
friends, your family, your network, your people. And I tell people, some people will have 30 cups of coffee in 60 days. Some will have 30 cups of coffee in 30 days. And some will have 30 cups of coffee in 15 days. And then I challenge people like, which agent are you? And so at the end of the day, it really is, I mean, this industry is a belly to belly industry. And as much as pushing content will reinforce your personal brand, if you're not having the conversations or not having the personal, one-on-ones, then it's going to be tough to win. And so, at the end of the day, my advice is to go have conversations. Coffee is cheap, with your friends and your family. And if you're not from the area, like let's say you've moved to a new market and you don't have any friends or family, then the conversation is how can you add people to your
Yeah.
database? How can you go meet 5 people? Brian Buffini said this: how do you add 5 people to your database every day, or whatever it is, 5 people a week, whatever the number was. And so the conversation is having conversations with your have mets, the people that you know, and then go have conversations with the people you don't know, the have not mets, and that's your book of business.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you a Buffini, or are you a Buffini guy?
I was. I mean, the systems, the mantra, all still is true with how we operate our business.
Yeah.
Client
Yeah.
events,
Yeah.
pop buys. I mean, dropping pies off, dropping Valentine's gifts off, whatever it may be. All of that still holds true. Am I part of the referral maker program anymore? No,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but the process and the systems is the same.
What is your what would you say is your advice, or what would you recommend as far as like something to stay in touch with your clients on a budget, right? Because I feel like once you have a large team that's doing 100 mil plus a year, you guys have a budget for these things. If I was just starting out, what would be like a really good, other than coffee? I'm not going to let you take the same answer you already gave, but other than doing
five
coffee with
dollar
people,
coffee.
yeah, what would be like a thing, either a pop by or a client event or something to like just be in front of your people other than coffee?
Popeyes are cheap. I mean, you can drop off. I mean, little things. I mean, a coffee mug or whatever. Here's something that I think is a little bit interesting when people talk about Popeyes. A lot of people drop off the same thing to their database. It's easy.
Yeah.
You buy it in bulk. You can go get 50 coffee mugs with the same branding and fill it with Hershey Kisses and drop it off, and it feels good. So that is something that I would recommend, something kind of like that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, my advice is to get very personal. And so imagine each client you pop by, and let's say they're a football fan of a certain team. Go get a a little, whatever you want to call it, like a something that is related to that football team, and drop by and just say, hey, just want to stop by, and here's a little something. Sorry the Commanders have been so bad this year, but thought you'd
This
like
every
this.
year.
Or every year. Or the Ravens. Sorry the Ravens lost, but hopefully they'll get it back next season and drop off something little fun, like a little towel or whatever it may
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But getting ultra specific. If you know somebody likes fishing, drop by a fish off fishing lures. I mean, that's $1.29 at a store to go get some cool bait and a nice message, and drop off some fishing lures. Um, so it is one of those things that I would challenge people who are watching this to think about how to get ultra personal with people. And another way that I would actually, this isn't a Popeye, but something that I would do is when you actually do have a client. This is something that I haven't done in many many years, but I would get back into if I were servicing a lot of deals. Is doing parties,
Yeah.
um, parties around somebody had just closed on a house. Invite neighbors, bring in some Tex-Mex. I mean, cook potluck or whatever it may be, and for a few $100s you can get access to 30 to 50 people that you just didn't know.
Yeah.
And it's all around celebration and a good success story. So, I mean, I would think of things that you can. I mean, you can invite your neighbors to a potluck, or you can get an ice cream truck, or in some cases, you can just go get a dollar lottery ticket and just say, I mean, here's a personal note and a dollar lottery ticket. I mean, happy St. Patty's Day. Good luck.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That doesn't cost anything. And so there are all kinds of different things out there.
We do one like that where it's a mailer, and then like yeah,
Mhm.
the agents will write notes on them and stuff like that. So I think that's a fun one, the lotto ticket one. But
Yeah,
yeah.
it's cheap. It's cheap. It's easy. If you package it the right way, it can be really meaningful. Meaningful. And so a lot of times when we get into this high volume, high production, we try to cut corners on how easy it is.
Mhm.
Um, and so the advantage for the newer agents and even the challenge for the experienced agents is really try to personalize stuff a little bit
Yeah.
more. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Have you ever read the book Giftology?
I have not, and it's funny because I was talking to one of our colleagues, Malcolm, about books um and podcasts and stuff like that. And he's like, "Which one's your favorite and which one's that?" And I was like, "I don't listen to podcasts. I don't read books."
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, "I like the cliff notes and I like the summaries of stuff,
Well,
but
so okay, so Cliff Notes version is like, branded stuff, right? Like what you and I are wearing right now, that's more marketing stuff and like, gifts,
yep,
figuring out ways to personalize them, right? And kind of go above
yep,
and beyond, like while it will cost more money and take more time, it would have so much more impact, right? And so
yep,
it's just an interesting outlook as to kind of what we should be doing as far as gifting and different things like that. So I love a good branded, thing, and we normally have them as giveaways and just free swag at our events and stuff. But yeah, as far as
yep.
like pop buys and stuff, we try to always throw in something that would be of interest to you, kind of thing.
Yeah, if you do deliver pies, which every realtor I feel like delivers pies, and you decide that you want to stop delivering pies, all of those people that got the pies the year before are going to be pissed off. So once you get into the pies, you can't get out of the
I was to say
pies.
it's like a I don't know what word I'm thinking of, but yeah, you're stuck in it. So
Yes, yeah. So
and
we
you
deliver
mentioned
about 300
earlier,
pies a year.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did y'all so when you say, "Hey, once you start, you can't stop," did you guys ever not do it, and that's how you know from experience that you had a bunch of pissed off clients?
Yeah, yeah. When I didn't market it one year, and somebody just they didn't get a pie or whatever, I got a text message. I mean, literally not somebody, multiple people were like, "Hey, where's my pie?" And I'm like, I was busy this. I mean, I didn't have a good excuse, and
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we fast forwarded, we were back on the train for delivering a bunch of pies. So
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, nothing like annoyed people to hold you accountable to the things that you wanted to do.
100%, 100%, exactly.
That's funny. So I want to talk a little bit about like philanthropy and charitable giving and things like that.
Yeah,
I know that y'all do a lot around that. You personally, as
yeah.
well as like with the team and your organization and everything like that. So tell me a little bit, I guess, about how that kind of started and how it's kind of grown into what it is today.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it started as a kid. I mean, my parents were very involved in a bunch of different charities through, I mean, whether it was church or Young Life or Habitat for Humanity. I mean, I was the kid that did family vacations, going and building houses,
Okay.
and so that was just something that was just I was raised that way. And
Okay.
so then when I stepped into a space like this, where we have the opportunity and access to people. We've run charity golf tournaments for many, many years, helping inner city kids. We've done Habitat for Humanities. We've done boxing of stuff for the holidays for those less fortunate. Um, this past year, and by the way, this is year two is coming up on this. This past year, I hosted a country concert.
Yeah,
Um,
I was hoping that you're going to touch on this, so I'm excited
and
to
yeah,
for you to share
yeah,
this.
yeah. So this is almost a joke, but I literally woke up one morning and I looked over at T and I said, "Hey T, I just had the most vivid dream that I hosted a country concert with Jordan Davis on behalf of type 1 diabetes." And she's like, "Okay, okay, sounds good." And so I was like, "I think I'm going to try and write him." And so I did. I literally wrote his management team and they wrote me back for better or for worse. And so fast forward about 4 or 5 months later, I hosted a country concert. We raised $25,000 for type 1 diabetes. For those that don't know Jordan Davis, he sings the song Buy Dirt. When My World Spins Around was nominated for um, Artist of the Year last year. So we hit a home run on that one. And we got such good feedback on it that we are lit. I have offers out to 2 artists. Jordan Davis can't do it anymore, and he's too expensive now. He's grown too big, so we hit him
Yeah.
at the perfect time. But I have 2 other well-known country music artists that I have offers out to host another concert. By the way, if you're watching this and you're in the DC area, November 8th,
Okay.
that may be happening. So Friday, November 8th, and Katie, I want you to come up and a bunch of our colleagues to come up and really just raise money and awareness for type 1 diabetes.
Yeah.
My youngest son has type 1. We're about to celebrate his 8th year diaversary. So when he got diagnosed. And so, yeah, that was just, it was on my heart and I made it happen. Crazy. I mean, it's crazy to say I hosted a country concert.
Well,
So,
and so just I mean, I saw the picture. So if someone doesn't follow you, they may not understand the magnitude of what this event was. And so where was it held at?
so it was at the State Theater, which is kind of it's an older theater that it holds 900 people, I think. We had some challenges because these artists have agreements with Live Nation and
Yeah.
Ticketmaster, and so we had a lot of restrictions on being able to share. Hey, come to a country concert. Plus, the tickets were a little bit more expensive because it was for charity, and
Yeah.
so we had about 450 or 500 people that came and did meet and greets, and so we had Jordan Davis and Danielle Bradbury, and honestly, I mean, it exceeded my expectations. Everybody there was like, "Holy smokes, you got to do this again!" Just a really good feel good night. We raised 25 grand
That's so awesome.
for Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation,
Yeah.
hoping for a cure one of these days. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, that's just something that I mean, when we left it, I was like, "Holy smokes, we should do this again!" And here we are. I literally yesterday sent over the offers to these 2 artists, and so we may be running it back November 8th. That's the
Dude, that's
plan.
so epic. I love it. I love it.
I'm
Well,
expecting you to roll up from Houston.
um, yeah, that may be able to we may be able to make that happen. I'm looking at my calendar up here. So yeah, I may be able to
Yeah,
make that happen.
November
We'll
8th.
see.
November 8th. Yeah, it'll be a fun night. This year it will sell out because now I have 450 to 500 people who have seen it.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've gotten great. We sent out a note just saying, "Hey, would you be up for this again?" And they're like, "Yes, we'll be bringing 10 of our friends." And
Yeah.
so this
Yeah.
year
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
sell out, which I'm excited about, and hopefully make another dent into this research foundation. And again, it's on my heart. It's something that I love, and it's all about building community and giving back.
No, I love it. That's so awesome. And I am glad we got to talk about it and you got to share. Um, I appreciate everything that you've shared. I feel like we've covered like a wide range of topics between,
Yep.
social and content and team building and stuff like that. And it's cool to hear how different people have gotten to where they are today. So I really appreciate that. If someone doesn't follow you on social, where would be the best place for them to connect with you?
So I don't have a TikTok or a Snapchat other than to keep an eye on my kids. But Instagram is just at Ryan Zook,
Okay.
ZOK. Um, that's where they can find me. And so yeah, Instagram is my preferred platform. Facebook, I mean, I probably have space for a few more friends, but that's getting pretty full. And so yeah, no, I appreciate the time and the conversation, and it's always good hanging out with you, Katie.
Always good hanging out with you too. All right, I'm gonna hit you with one last question that I hit
Uh-oh.
everyone at the end of each episode, and so that is, if it were your last meal on
Ooh.
Earth, what would
Yep.
you be eating?
That's pretty easy. I would eat a filet Oscar, put that crab meat right on top,
All right.
wrapped in bacon, um, loaded baked potato, all the carbs you could possibly have, and then probably follow it up with a brownie sundae.
Very
As
cool.
unhealthy as it gets.
Of course,
Maybe
of
some
course.
asparagus in there, maybe too. But
Whenever I order asparagus, it just kind of sits on my plate. I'm always like in
yeah,
my mind, I'm gonna eat it, and then all I'm eating is the meat and potatoes. So
I
I
eat
feel
the
you there.
asparagus. I eat the asparagus first. That way it gets eaten, and then I kind of work my way around.
You're
So,
hilarious. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you. Looking forward to hopefully seeing you again sometime soon, and I'll talk to you.
all righty, I appreciate it, Katie. Thank you.